Hello, and welcome to our channel. In this video, we'll look at the most perplexing ethical conundrum of all time, that is, how should we live our lives? This is a question that has baffled philosophers for centuries and remains a source of heated debate and curiosity. Before we delve into the pursuit of an ideal moral standard that regulates right and wrong behavior, let's define philosophy for a moment. Nonetheless, it is difficult to define philosophy precisely, and the endeavor to do so is both intriguing and essential in and of itself. Philosophy, rather than having a distinct subject matter, pursues questions and analyzes issues in every dimension of human existence, and its methodologies apply to problems in any field of study or endeavor. There is no single definition that can capture the breadth and depth of philosophy. Perhaps a significant number of philosophers would agree that philosophy, whatever else it is the critical, usually methodical examination of an infinite number of ideas and issues. So, what precisely do I mean when I say philosophy? It's very tough to say. It can be described in a variety of ways. It's a rational, critical exploration and examination of fundamental questions concerning existence, knowledge, values, reason, cognition, language, and so on. It is a way of thinking about the world that helps us understand the fundamental nature of things and our place in it. In my opinion, philosophy is an endeavor to think more deliberately, thoroughly, profoundly, and critically about issues or subjects that are truly worth thinking about. Let us also take a minute to explain what we mean by ethics. Ethics does not apply to everything that exists, only to man, but it does apply to every aspect of a man's life, his character, his deeds, his ideals, and his relationship to all of existence. Ethics, or morality, specifies a system of principles to guide man's choices and acts, the choices and actions that determine the course of his life. The study of ethics, often termed moral philosophy, includes systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. Now, let's take a look at the three dominant ethical theories for living a moral life. What is the ultimate moral criterion or an ideal moral standard that determines right and wrong behavior? Defining the standard of proper behavior has long perplexed philosophers and remains a source of dispute and inquiry. Generations of philosophers have made numerous attempts over the centuries to articulate the ultimate criterion of moral conduct. Indeed, Western philosophers have developed countless theories on how to live a moral life over the last 2,500 years. And various ethical theories provide different frameworks for comprehending what it means to live a moral life and make moral decisions. In what follows, we'll traverse the morally complex world and learn about the top three dominant ethical theories you should be aware of: consequentialism, deontology, and virtue-based ethics. Learn which ethical theory is best for you and how consequentialism, deontology, and virtue ethics can help you make better decisions. First and foremost, there's consequentialism. Consequentialism is a philosophy that holds that the moral worth of an action is determined by its consequence. It is concerned with the good outcomes or consequences of the actions. So, according to this view, the basis for determining whether something is right or immoral arises from the consequences of that action. In other words, the outcomes or results created by an action define its moral worth. In a nutshell, consequentialist theories hold that acceptable moral behavior is determined solely by a cost-benefit analysis of an action's consequences. This is to say that we first tally both the good and bad consequences of a certain action. Second, we then determine whether the overall beneficial outcomes outweigh the total bad consequences. If the good consequences outweigh the bad ones, the action is morally proper. If the negative consequences outweigh the positive ones, the action is morally wrong. Next, there's deontology, from the Greek for obligation, or duty. According to this school of thought, there are strict rules and duties or obligations that everyone must follow, and being ethical is simply identifying and obeying those duties and following those rules. According to this ethical theory, the moral worth of an action is determined by whether it is done for the sake of duty or out of a sense of moral responsibility. Deontologists think that there are certain moral duties or rules that we must follow and obey, regardless of the consequences of our acts. A deontologist, for example, would argue that lying is morally wrong even if doing so would bring about good consequences, since lying breaches the moral duty to speak the truth. When presented with a moral dilemma, a deontologist would consider whether an action is in accordance with these moral duties and pick the conduct that best fulfills these duties. Finally, there is virtue-based ethics, a school of thought that focuses on the moral actor's character rather than the consequences of their acts. Unlike most moral theories, virtue theory focuses on character rather than telling you what to do. Rather than stating, follow these rules so that you can be a good person, virtue theorists reason that if we can just focus on being good people, the proper acts will follow, effortlessly. Make yourself a decent person, then the right actions will follow, and you will do good things. So, according to this idea, living an ethical life entails acquiring and cultivating virtues such as wisdom, courage, and justice, and acting in accordance with these virtues. For example, a person who practices virtue ethics might strive to be honest, even if doing so has negative consequences, because honesty is a virtue. When confronted with a moral dilemma, a person who practices virtue ethics could assess which action will best exemplify the virtues they value and prefer the action that aligns with these virtues. Overall, these three ethical theories provide distinct perspectives on how to live an ethical life. Consequentialism emphasizes the importance of producing good consequences, deontology emphasizes necessity of fulfilling moral duties, and virtue ethics emphasizes the importance of cultivating virtuous character. Whether we prioritize producing good consequences, fulfilling moral duties, or nurturing virtuous character, it is evident that ethics is a complex and multifaceted subject that demands considerable thinking and thorough examination. Finally, each theory has strengths and flaws, and it is up to people to determine which theory best aligns with their own values and beliefs. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more philosophical insights.